Top 5 Washington Quarters Worth Big Money. Welcome. Today, we're going to explore some of the most valuable Washington quarter dollars in the United States of America. United States. In this video, we'll reveal the top 5 rare Washington quarters, their current market values, and the era coins and special conditions that make them incredibly valuable, including rare silver varieties, unusual color shades, and unique mint errors that have become major favorites in the coin collector and investor world. These rare treasures are not just pieces of American history. They are also some of the most valuable coins that collectors are hunting for today. So if you're a coin enthusiast or someone who appreciates the beauty and significance of U.S. currency, this video is for you. Let's get started with our first rare Washington quarter. Sparkles. The most valuable and expensive 1965 Washington quarter. The story of the 1965 Washington quarter begins in a moment of national crisis, an unexpected turning point in American coinage history. That was the year the United States Mint made a radical decision, ending the use of 90% silver for quarters. For decades, the quarter had been a proud silver coin, solid and shining, a small symbol of American strength. But by 1965, silver prices soared, panic spread, and the government feared a nationwide shortage. To save the economy, they switched to a copper-nickel-clad coin. And this moment, this massive change, created the legendary rarity hunters chase today. In theory, number 1965 quarters were supposed to contain silver. Not a single one. The Mint had already ordered that all silver planchets be stopped, melted, and replaced. But the Mint was a roaring factory of metal and machinery, and mistakes can hide inside chaos. In the confusion of the transition, a few leftover silver planchets accidentally slipped into the presses. That mysterious mistake, one tiny overlooked detail, gave birth to one of the most electrifying modern rarities in the entire U.S. coin market. When collectors talk about the 1965 silver quarter, their voices change. It's a coin surrounded by whispers, rumors, excitement, and disbelief. Because this coin, if real, is not just a collectible, it is a miracle. A true 90% silver quarter struck with the 1965 date is the kind of discovery that feels like destiny, like finding impossible treasure in your own pocket. And even though millions of clad 1965 quarters were produced, only a microscopic handful of silver versions are believed to exist. The legendary value comes from the extreme rarity of such an error. It's not an ordinary Mint mistake. It's the kind that isn't supposed to happen, the kind the Mint tried desperately to prevent, the kind created by pure accident and sealed by history. The few examples that surface cause collectors and investors to explode with adrenaline, each one knowing that a single coin can rewrite fortune overnight. Imagine holding a pile of old quarters in your hand, coins that seem ordinary and dull. And then one feels different. Its shine is brighter. Its ring is higher. Its weight is subtly heavier. When tested, the truth emerges. This isn't an ordinary clad quarter, it's silver. A survivor from the cusp of a major monetary revolution. That moment has happened to only a few people in history, but those who experience it never forget the electric shock of discovery. Even the regular 1965 clad quarters carry their own magic. They mark the first year of a new coinage era, an era defined by modern materials, new techniques, and a desperate attempt to push the U.S. economy away from the silver shortage. A pristine 1965 quarter, untouched by hands, glowing with brilliant luster, becomes a time capsule from the moment America's coinage changed forever. Collectors have long speculated about how many silver-struck 1965 coins escaped, but the truth is cloaked in mystery. Some believe only a dozen exist. Others whisper that a few more remain hidden in old coin jars, forgotten bankrolls, or estate boxes sealed since the 1960s. And the possibility that one might still be out there keeps the excitement alive. That is what makes this coin so powerful. It turns ordinary people into treasure hunters. The 1965 Washington quarter teaches a thrilling lesson. Even in a modern-looking coin, unimaginable value can hide in plain sight. This is why collectors search relentlessly, examining edges for a silver core, weighing coins with precision, listening to the distinct ringing sound that only real silver sings. Every search becomes a quest, every roll becomes a chance at destiny. While the Mint intended for the silver era to end in 1964, The 1965 silver mistakes defied the rules. They became rebellious artifacts, coins that slipped through history's cracks, refusing to obey the transition. And that rebellious, accidental survival is exactly what drives their charm and astronomical value. They are echoes of a vanished era carried into the modern world. As years passed, coin enthusiasts uncovered more mysteries. Transitional errors, double strikes, off-center miracles, and exceptionally well-preserved examples that look as if time froze around them. These rare survivors command high prices not only for their rarity, but for the stories engraved in their surfaces. Stories of machines, metal, and moments when chaos created beauty. The emotional power of the 1965 quarter lies in its unpredictability. It is impossible to look at one without wondering, could this be silver? Could this be the one? Even the most experienced collectors feel a spark of childlike wonder when they hold a 1965 quarter, because it represents the possibility of the unexpected, the hope that treasure may still be discovered in the most ordinary places. For many collectors, the 1965 silver era has become a dream, a symbol of luck, persistence, and opportunity. It is proof that the smallest thing, a single coin worth 25 cents, can carry the weight of a life-changing moment. This is why people sort through old change, why they search attics and basements, why they open dusty rolls from forgotten times. The journey itself becomes thrilling. What makes this coin unforgettable is not just its metal or its rarity, it's the timing. It stands at the dividing line between two coinage eras, the age of silver and the age of modern metal. It is history frozen in one thin disk, carrying the echoes of a nation in transition. The 1965 Washington quarter, especially the rare silver-struck mistake, remains one of the most electrifying discoveries a collector can dream of. It is the kind of coin that turns ordinary people into storytellers, casual hobbyists into passionate searchers, and lucky finders into legends. And above all, it captures one timeless truth. Sometimes fortune hides in your pocket, waiting patiently to be recognized. Next up, the story of the 1977 Washington quarter begins long before the coin ever touched a pocket, a vending machine, or a collector's velvet-lined tray. It begins with America itself in a moment of transformation. The nation was stepping out of the turbulent early 70s and entering a new era where industries were evolving, minting technology was shifting, and the U.S. Mint was preparing coins meant not just for transactions, but for longevity. In this atmosphere of change, the Denver Mint pressed its mark, the simple yet powerful D, onto millions of quarters that would soon travel across the country. There is something magnetic about the 1977 D quarter because it came at a crossroads. Silver coinage, which had dominated older American money, had already disappeared from regular circulation for nearly a decade. Yet myths persisted, rumors whispered in collector circles about accidental silver strikes, experimental planchets, and wrong metal errors that could turn an ordinary-looking 1977 D quarter into a treasure worth unimaginable sums. Even if most quarters were copper-nickel, the idea that a rare silver misstrike could exist made this date legendary among dreamers. The Denver Mint in 1977 was a powerhouse of production, running presses day and night to keep America's economy moving. But coin collectors know that even inside a machine-driven environment, mistakes have a way of sneaking in, tiny slips that become historical gems. This is why some people call the 1977 D quarter the quiet gambler, a coin that looks common at first glance, yet hides the potential to be spectacular depending on what the minting equipment did in that split-second moment of creation. Collectors often say that the 1977 D quarter represents the full maturity of the Washington design. The portrait of George Washington, sculpted decades earlier, had aged gracefully through countless modifications, strikes, and minting shifts. By 1977, the engraving had a bold, confident appearance, neither too old nor too modern, carrying a sense of American stability. It was the kind of coin that lived in pockets but still held dignity, the kind of design that refused to fade even after years of clinking against keys and pennies. In those years, millions of Americans used the quarter every day, but almost none of them imagined that some of these coins would one day command eye-popping prices when preserved in superb condition. That is the paradox of the 1977 D quarter. It is a common coin by mintage, yet rare in perfection. The Denver Mint produced so many that nobody thought to save them untouched, and because of that, flawless examples became far scarcer than expected. The potential for immense value in special condition 1977 D quarters comes from this exact reality. Not because of silver content, though rumors of silver versions persist, but because pristine survivors are like finding a time capsule untouched by human hands. When a coin from 1977 looks as if it rolled out of the mint just seconds ago, it becomes a symbol of preservation, a moment in history frozen in metal. Collectors love telling stories about people pulling one of these high-grade 1977 D quarters from jars, drawers, or inherited boxes of old pocket change. It is the classic dream. The idea that something ordinary-looking could secretly be extraordinary. It gives the coin an aura of possibility, the same kind of thrill that makes treasure hunters dig into the earth or metal detectors comb beaches at sunrise. The 1977 D quarter feeds that same inner spark. Beyond condition, another source of fascination is the potential for rare minting errors. Every collector knows Denver had its share of misaligned strikes, off-center clashes, wrong dies, and metal flaws during certain periods. So the 1977 D quarter becomes a mystery chest. What if the one in your hand carries an unseen valuable error? What if the metal blank was from a different batch, or the die hit slightly off balance? Such questions keep the coin eternally captivating. The design itself adds charm. Washington's profile, noble and steady, faces the word liberty as if guarding it. The eagle on the reverse spreads its wings with a sense of strength and command. Holding a 1977 D quarter is like holding a small medal dedicated to American endurance, and this symbolic aura only deepens the emotional connection people have with it. What truly elevates the coin's legacy is the way it became a silent witness to everyday American life. The same coin that bought children candy in 1977 might sit today in a collector's case, worth far more because it survived decades unharmed. It is a piece of personal history for millions. Some dropped it into laundromat machines. Others used it for payphones. Still others saved it in piggy banks without ever knowing it could one day be significant. The no-mint mark 1977 coins were made in Philadelphia, and while your request focuses on the Denver strike, comparing them adds depth to the story. Denver's quarters tended to have sharper strikes and slightly better detail. Because of that, collectors often chase after the perfect 1977 D, believing that Denver's machinery offered the most potential for immaculate examples. The competition between mints adds an unseen layer of drama to this coin's history. But among collectors, the greatest tales are always about the unexpected. Stories circulate about people who found a high-grade 1977 D quarter and sold it for life-changing amounts. Even though such cases are rare, the whispers alone give the coin a mythical shimmer. That is why enthusiasts say the 1977 D quarter can change your night into dawn, a poetic way to express the thrill of discovery. The idea of the coin having unimaginable value comes from this emotional power. The coin is not made of silver, yet the meaning and rarity of special examples give it a metaphorical richness that makes people dream. Wealth, luck, destiny. These words cling to the 1977 D quarter the way legends cling to ancient treasure. It is not just a coin. It is a symbol of possibility. Ultimately, the 1977 D Washington quarter stands as proof that value is not always in the metal, but in the story, the survival, and the spark it ignites in the imagination of those who hold it. Whether resting in a collector's vault or hiding inside a forgotten jar of change, the coin carries a quiet promise that sometimes the most ordinary objects can hold the brightest fortunes. And that is why people say, never ever underestimate a coin like the 1977 D quarter. In the right condition, in the right moment, in the hands of the right collector, it can turn from pocket change into a prize that feels like it holds destiny itself. Next coin. The story of the 1995 P. Washington quarter begins in a decade defined by change. America in the mid-1990s was stepping into a new digital age, and the U.S. Mint felt the pressure to keep pace. Yet while technology outside was evolving rapidly, the old trusted Washington quarter carried on, unchanged, reliable, and symbolic. The Philadelphia Mint, marked with its simple but powerful P, stood at the center of this production, and from its presses came the now legendary 1995 P quarter, a coin that would one day ignite dreams of unimaginable value. What makes the 1995 P quarter so fascinating is the combination of its ordinary appearance and its astonishing potential. At first glance, it looks like any other modern quarter. Copper nickel clad, bright, and familiar. But beneath that everyday exterior lies a universe of possibility. Collectors whisper about rare mistakes, hidden varieties, and ultra-high-grade survivors that can send shockwaves through the coin market. And within those whispers, the myth of the life-changing quarter was born. The Philadelphia Mint in 1995 was operating at intense speed to meet the nation's demand for circulating coinage. Millions upon millions of quarters poured from its churning presses. But with great speed comes rare opportunity. When a mint produces countless coins, even the slightest imperfection, timing slip, or unexpected metal variation can create a rarity worth far more than the entire batch surrounding it. For this reason, collectors often call the 1995 P quarter the silent wildcard of the Washington series. By this time, the United States had long abandoned silver for everyday coinage. The last circulating silver quarters were from 1964, yet the allure of silver never truly faded. Rumors persist, persistent tantalizing rumors, of stray silver planchets accidentally struck with a 1995 P die, creating a coin that looks normal but weighs differently, feels differently, and carries a value that can soar beyond imagination. While rare, even the possibility makes collectors' hearts race. The design itself contributes to the coin's mystique. The portrait of George Washington, first introduced decades earlier, carries the weight of American identity. Strong, steady, and time-honored, his face on the 1995 P quarter feels like a guardian of the past standing firm in an era rushing toward the future. And on the reverse, the eagle spreads its wings as if protecting a legacy that had endured for generations. The true magic of the 1995 P quarter is found in condition. Because it is a modern coin, very few people thought to save it the moment it was released. Most were spent immediately on bus fares, gum, arcade machines, or parking meters. That means pristine, untouched examples are far rarer than people assume. A flawless 1995 P quarter, kept in mint state perfection, can be worth far more than the average person would ever believe. Collectors often describe this coin as a sleeper. A coin that hides quietly in circulation until someone with the right eye discovers its true potential. It's the kind of coin that turns up in an old jar of change, or inside a forgotten drawer, and suddenly transforms an ordinary day into a moment of breathtaking surprise. Stories circulate of people finding such a quarter and realizing it was worth hundreds, thousands, even more depending on errors or condition. Those stories feed the legend. The possibility of minting errors adds another layer of excitement. A double die strike, a misaligned die, a broad strike, a clipped planchet. Any one of these mistakes could turn a 1995 P quarter into a treasure of enormous value. And because the Philadelphia Mint was producing such high volumes, the chance of anomalies was always present. In the world of numismatics, errors are miracles born from machinery, and the 1995 P quarter has become a hotspot for such miracles. It's easy to overlook the symbolic power this coin holds. The quarter is the backbone of U.S. pocket change, a coin that almost every American touches countless times a year. When a coin so common becomes incredibly rare in certain forms, it elevates from currency to artifact. The 1995 P quarter becomes a small metal time capsule, carrying the echoes of the 1990s while promising the thrill of discovery in the present. Collectors admire how the Philadelphia Mint's craftsmanship in 1995 reflects a transitional era. That year sits just a few years before the state quarter program would reshape American coinage forever. The 1995 P is one of the last quarters of the classic eagleback design before the wave of new designs began sweeping across the nation. That alone gives it a sense of finality and importance. A last chapter in one of America's longest-running coin stories. In high-grade condition, the 1995 P quarter can command impressive prices because perfect examples are often harder to find than anyone expects. The coin was used, spent, and circulated endlessly. To discover one with razor-sharp detail, glowing luster, and untouched surfaces is like discovering something the world forgot to protect. There is a reason many collectors call the 1995 P quarter a fortune sleeper. It's the coin that blends myth, history, rarity, and the excitement of possibility. Every so often, a new discovery or error variety appears, sending ripples of excitement through the collector community. And each ripple gives the coin more power, more mystery, more magic. The emotional connection people have to this coin is also strong. Some remember using it in arcade machines during the golden era of gaming. Others recall saving them in piggy banks as children. These personal memories give the coin life beyond its metal composition. It becomes a storyteller, carrying tiny pieces of American childhood, family, and nostalgia. Ultimately, the 1995p Washington quarter is a reminder that value does not always lie in precious metals. Sometimes the treasure is in the history, the condition, the errors, or the stories woven around it. This quarter is proof that even a modern coin, something you might overlook today, can hold the power to surprise you, to elevate you, even to change your fortune if destiny aligns. This is why collectors say, never underestimate the coins in your hand. Because somewhere, in someone's pocket or drawer, a flawless or error-struck 1995p quarter waits. Quiet, shining, and ready to transform an ordinary moment into the greatest discovery of a lifetime. Next coin. The 1979 D Washington quarter emerges from a fascinating era of American history. A period when the nation was shifting, industries were evolving, and the Denver Mint stood as one of the most powerful engines of U.S. coin production. In this year, the quarter was more than simple pocket change. It was a metallic snapshot of a turbulent time, a coin born from pressure, transition, and unstoppable change. The D mint mark stamped below Washington's portrait became a symbol of a mint that worked day and night, producing millions of coins that would travel through gas stations, grocery stores, arcades, and hands across the nation. While the quarter of 1979 appears ordinary to most people today, collectors know it hides a fascinating secret life. Many of these coins were struck quickly and in huge volumes, which opened the door to rare anomalies. Coins with slight misstrikes, unusual metal behavior, or remarkable sharpness from early, freshly prepared dies. These few special survivors, buried among millions of standard pieces, are the reason the 1979 D quarter has earned whispers of value and legend within the circle of coin enthusiasts. By 1979, circulating silver coins were long gone. The nation had moved past the era of silver in everyday currency, shifting fully into clad coinage to keep costs under control. But the romance of silver never left people's imaginations. Rumors swirl, rumors of experimental strikes, off-metal errors, and accidental silver planchets slipping into the presses at the Denver Mint. These tales keep hope alive for collectors searching for that magical piece that breaks the rules, defies expectation, and turns a simple quarter into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. The Denver Mint in 1979 was a powerhouse, known for its precision but also for its enormous production numbers. This combination makes the 1979 D quarter so fascinating. High output means a vast ocean of coins flooded the nation. Yet high output also means greater chances for the extraordinary. When machinery pushes its limits, even a small timing shift in the dies, a misfeed in the planchet, or a pressure misalignment can create a coin unique enough to rewrite its destiny. Collectors are drawn to the design itself, a design that connects generations. Washington's strong profile, stoic, calm, and timeless, anchors the front of the coin, while the proud eagle spreads its wings on the reverse. These images had already become cultural symbols by 1979, but on this particular year's coin, the design carries a different kind of soul. It holds the spirit of a nation navigating inflation, uncertainty, and change. It holds the echo of people who lived through that decade, now captured forever in metal. What truly elevates the 1979 D quarter is condition. Most of these coins were spent immediately and aggressively. They clinked through vending machines, scraped against countertops, slid across registers, and lived hard lives in pockets and jars. Finding one in untouched, flawless, mint-state glory is shockingly difficult. The rare perfect examples gleam with impressive luster and razor-sharp details, and collectors chase them with passion because they stand out as survivors. Rare jewels hidden among mountains of worn pieces. The quarter of 1979 also stands near the border between old and new. Just 2 decades later, the state quarters would transform the entire visual identity of American 25-cent coins. But this earlier period, this 1979 D issue, sits quietly as part of the final chapters of the classic eagle-back design. That reality adds depth to its story, giving it the aura of a fading era, a legacy coin that would soon see its longtime design retired. In the world of numismatics, people often describe the 1979 D quarter as a coin that rewards patience. You could overlook it 1,000 times before realizing the potential of a single extraordinary specimen. It is the type of coin that hides in plain sight, waiting in cigar boxes, old wallets, forgotten coin rolls, or dusty glass jars. Every so often, someone finds a gleaming, high-grade example, or a strange error, and suddenly discovers that a forgotten quarter from 1979 holds far more value than anyone expected. The Denver Mint's machinery in this era occasionally produced small but meaningful imperfections that now fascinate collectors. Doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and clipped planchets give the 1979 D quarter a universe of rare possibilities. These coins can be dramatic, visually unusual, and intensely collectible, transforming a simple 25-cent piece into a coin worth hundreds, thousands, or more in exceptional cases. The emotional power of this coin should not be underestimated. Many people who grew up in the 1970s and 1980s remember using these quarters in arcade machines, payphones, and early video game cabinets. These memories give the coin a warm nostalgia that few modern quarters can match. It is not just metal. It is part of people's lives, childhoods, and stories. This emotional connection deepens the value of the 1979 D quarter because collectors do not simply see it as a coin. They see it as a symbol of a disappearing time. A time when quarters had weight, character, and the sound of real change clinking in pockets. A time before digital payments, cards, and touchscreens took over the world. The coin becomes a relic of the American experience. Despite its ordinary origins, the 1979 D quarter carries a sense of mystery. The idea that an off-metal or rare error might exist keeps collectors searching tirelessly. Some believe that the golden quarter of 1979 has yet to be discovered, buried somewhere in circulation or hiding in a private hoard. That belief alone gives the coin a mythical aura. Everyone wants to be the one who finds the rarest piece. Ultimately, the power of the 1979 D Washington quarter lies in its unpredictability. It is a coin that seems ordinary until you look closer. It is a coin that reminds us that rarity often hides where we least expect it. It is a coin that carries the potential, however small or extraordinary, to change someone's life if the right error, condition, or anomaly reveals itself. And so this quarter stands, silently, in pockets and drawers across America, waiting for a curious eye, a careful hand, or a stroke of destiny. It may look like a simple piece of metal from 1979, but sometimes the plainest things hold the greatest secrets. Sometimes a coin meant for spending becomes a story, a treasure, even a fortune. That is the magic of the 1979 D Washington quarter, a coin of history, mystery, and endless possibility. Next coin. The 1982 D Washington quarter rises from a turning point in American coinage history, an era when the United States Mint was fighting rising costs, metal shortages, and public demand for flawless circulating currency. The Denver Mint, stamped with the modest yet mighty letter D, found itself producing millions of quarters during a time when every decision carried economic weight. In this atmosphere of pressure and transformation, the 1982 D quarter was born, carrying within it the spirit of a nation pushing through financial challenge and innovation. The year 1982 was unlike any other for American coins. It was the year that forced the Mint to remove dates and mint marks from proof sets, cut numerous production costs, and rethink its strategies to survive inflation waves. This turbulence created gaps, inconsistencies, and production quirks that collectors still study today. That is why the humble 1982 D quarter, often overlooked by the casual spender, carries such an aura of mystery and value among those who understand the story behind the metal. What makes this particular quarter unforgettable is the Denver Mint's distinct striking character that year. Presses ran fast. Dies wore down quickly. Unexpected anomalies formed. The Mint prioritized quantity to meet national demand, and when quantity becomes the king, rarity becomes the unexpected treasure. Under these conditions, a tiny handful of spectacularly sharp, perfectly preserved, or unusually struck 1982 D quarters slipped through, coins so pristine or so unique that they became legends among collectors. One of the most fascinating things about the 1982 D quarter is the way people talk about it today. Almost every collector knows that something unusual happened during the Mint's operations that year. Rumors swirl of off-metal strikes, silver planchets mistakenly fed into the presses, or transitional errors created during moments when machinery shifted from one batch to another. These rumors feed the dream that somewhere a nearly impossible version of this coin exists, a version capable of transforming a simple pocket find into life-changing wealth. Though silver was long gone from regular U.S. quarters by 1982, the legend persists that a few wrong planchets might have slipped in during the chaotic production processes. This belief is what gives the 1982 D quarter its aura of unpredictability. The idea that a silver specimen might exist, whether by accident or oversight, keeps collectors searching tirelessly, checking every edge, every tone, every ring of the coin to see if fate has offered them a miracle. The design itself adds to the quarter's charm. Washington's portrait, strong and timeless, stands as a symbol of leadership during a moment of national reinvention. The eagle on the reverse spreads its wings with confidence, a federal emblem ready to soar even in uncertain times. On the 1982 D quarter, these images often appear with subtle variations in clarity, depth, and texture, because the mint's dies were pushed harder and longer than usual. These small variations give each surviving coin a character of its own. Most 1982 D quarters entered circulation immediately and lived rough lives. They passed through laundromats, gas stations, fast food counters, car washes, and millions of palm lines. They were tossed into jars, rattled in glove boxes, and scraped in vending machines. That is why finding a mint state example from this year feels almost like finding a time capsule, an untouched survivor from a year whose coins were expected to be used and abused from day one. Collectors know that condition is everything with this coin. A scratched, circulated quarter from 1982 is common, but a glowing, perfectly struck example with crisp detail and booming luster is a prize. These few high-grade survivors ignite bidding wars and spark excitement because they represent the rarest outcome, a coin meant for the trenches of daily life that somehow escaped untouched. The idea that a simple quarter could hold extraordinary value captures the imagination in a way that few coins do. The 1982 D quarter symbolizes possibility. It reminds people that greatness can hide in ordinary places, that miracles can be found in a handful of loose change, and that history sometimes rewards those who pay attention. This emotional connection is what keeps collectors searching and believing. Beyond rarity, the coin also represents the final chapters of the classic eagle-back design before America embraced more modern commemorative styles. This gives the 1982 D quarter a sense of finality, a coin standing at the edge of one era and the beginning of another. It becomes not just currency but a historic marker of evolving American artistry and policy. Time has only increased the charm of the 1982 D quarter. As decades pass, worn examples dominate circulation, but the special survivors, the errors, the brilliant uncirculated pieces, the mysterious planchet anomalies, stand out more sharply than ever. They shine brighter because there are so few of them left to discover. The coin also carries the memories of a generation. Many people who grew up in the 1980s used these exact quarters for arcade games, payphones, and school lunches. These memories give the coin emotional weight, turning it from a cold piece of metal into a relic of childhood, culture, and American life before technology transformed everything. Collectors often say that the 1982 D quarter is a coin of destiny. It may look ordinary, but every now and then, one appears that breaks all expectations. This unpredictability gives the coin a myth-like quality. It is the coin that could surprise you, the coin that could rewrite its own story, the coin that could transform from a common object into an extraordinary discovery. And so, the 1982 D Washington quarter remains a symbol of hidden potential, a reminder that even in the most ordinary places, extraordinary things can exist. It is a coin born from pressure, preserved by chance, and elevated by mystery. Somewhere out there, in a forgotten drawer or a dusty jar, the next great specimen might be waiting, ready to change someone's fortune overnight. That is the magic of the 1982 D quarter. A story of history, hope, and possibilities wrapped in a single unassuming piece of metal.